YouTube, it's Tone, back with another one for you. This one is a continuation of dealing with presentments. This is the 12th video. I think there's one or two more in this particular book. And you know this book is fire too. We're about to get into some ill shit too right now. So let's get right into it. So in the last video, I think we were talking about bonds and things like that, which, by the way, I mentioned if you need them. First of all, go check out the creditors and their bonds series. You're going to see different examples of how to get them onto the, or get them, what do you call it, deposited with the court, your special deposits, special deposit and things like that of your bond using your exemption and things like that. So you find different examples of that in creditors and their bonds series that you're gonna find here in the archives. And if you need a template, which you should probably always just have it on you anyway with the rest of your documentation in case you ever run into some problems and need to get yourself out, that's gonna be what you're gonna use. If you need that, email me. That's just free. All right, so the history of the use of this bond thus far appears to be that all incarcerated users were released. So they were released from what this says. They ordered the court to issue them a promise to appear the bond coming at no cost to them using the exemption of their all capital name estate. So not all of them, however, remained free. It seems that the ones who stayed out permanently were the ones who had filed documents such as UCC finance statements, EIN, with JARA if possible, and other documents that clarify that the real being and the straw man are two different things, and that the real being is the living principle with who autographs instruments and operates in a capacity of being the authorized representative, attorney in fact, the secured party for the straw man. So those who did not put in any paperwork that states and declares declares this were re-incarcerated after weeks, since they never rebutted the rebuttable presumption, which is where the power is. So that the real being is united and amalgamated with the straw man, meaning that they're blended together. So one of the biggest things that you get out of filing the UCC is that it establishes it establishes the clear difference between the private living man being you, right, your physical tangible body, and the dead corporation ens legis created artificial version of a man, if you will, right? So it's just all the documentation making reference to the man is not the actual man. It's only making reference to it, the same way as the title to a house is not the actual fucking house. It's just making reference to it. You know what I'm saying? It could be because it can't be the damn house, because the house is where the house is. It's the same way that you're not the person that they're making reference to because you're standing in front of them and they're holding a piece of paper asking you if that piece of paper is you, if that ID is you. Really, bro? Can I be a piece of plastic? Cut it the fuck out. So you know that that's not you, because it can't be. So that whatever the system wants to do with its property, the straw man gets enforced on the real being. So, you know, and so when you're going to file these UCCs or your promissory estoppel, which is pretty much going to stop them in their fucking tracks, you're going to use a notary and things like that, because then they have to acknowledge the fact that it's there. And even if they don't, the notary said it's there. So, and they have more power than the judge. It doesn't matter what the judge thinks. So they have to acknowledge that and then make reference to it, especially if it's an affidavit, which it is. They're going to have to rebut that point for point. And then it also brings the state constitution into play too as well, without having to ask them, because it isn't their fucking court. They'll act like it is, and if you let them have it, then they're going to just fucking run right the fuck over you. So also of supreme importance is not giving one's name in court when asked, and not saying yes in any form when the judge asks you, are you so and so, to act as discussed here and above. So what it is that, you know, you're going in there acting as the, what do you call it, the authorized representative on behalf of the all capital name estate of whatever your name would be. Mine would be Anthony Figueroa. So I'm here as an authorized representative on behalf of the all capital name Anthony Figueroa, and I'm here to settle and close the matter, right? Really simple. I'm not here to argue with you, because you people are a bunch of fictions, and I don't even have time for that. And it's if you even end up in court. I'm not fucking going. You're gonna have to fucking come and get me, bro. Legit. So further, whenever possible, have your documents notarized with the acknowledgement, JARA. Although the notary text is labeled acknowledgement, which it is, since the text contains the words subscribed and sworn, it is also a jurat. Notarial acknowledgement is mandatory, admissibility in court, and a jurat is an oath, the strongest use of a notary, and is regarded as an apostille. So when you go to do the jurat notaries, they're gonna have you put your right hand up and swear that everything you're saying is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, and then you're gonna sign here. So affirm, right? And then you make your affirmations. So the fact that the text contains the use of your name 3 times, and that your name is set forth, i.e., and that your name is set forth, is intended as referring to the real you as the living principal in the matter, as the authorized representative and attorney in fact for your strawman, is express witness notice of your standing. One should put several variations of the spelling of the name, so different, all the different variations, so your name forwards, backwards, mixed, and things like that. So the all caps name of the defendant in Doe John Henry, the latter is the military designation of the strawman's name, and all legal commercial matters today are military and function under military accounting, as per the Military Accounting Manual, ER 37-210. So, and then we're gonna get into some Universal Postal Union shit, and that's all some crazy information. So lastly, always, if at all possible, put a postage stamp, a 2-cent stamp in US are fine. I use the $1 stamps on the lower right hand corner of the back of every page in any document you file into court. Autograph, sign your full name in longhand diagonally across the stamp in purple, royalty, or blue, source of the bond. And so that's what I'm doing too. I just ordered a bunch of pens too. I'm gonna start using purple, so keep that in mind, okay? So also, if you have had your bullet stamp made, stamp it in gold ink on the upper left-hand part of the postage stamp, in addition to inscribing your autograph by hand. This escalates the seriousness of your instrument by making you the postmaster of the transaction and placing the matter under the Universal Postal Union, a jurisdiction of international law formed by treaty that is higher than and untouchable by the courts. It provides you with what might well be an insurmountable position via those in the system acting against you, notwithstanding any other considerations. By use of this postage stamp in this manner, you are posting your document to them through the mail, making you an official mail carrier, delivering your document. They cannot interfere or tamper with the mail or the carrier of, which is you. And so they end up having to deal with federal mail charges and things like that. And it's funny because these people act like they know what the fuck they're talking about, and I don't know. Let me not run off on a fucking tangent here. So it is our understanding that the reason a court has 72 hours to deal with the court bond from the time it is filed is a requirement to adjust the books on the International Stock Bond Exchange within that time frame. What has occurred in actual cases seems to confirm this. Since people who filed the court bond have been brought into court the following morning, if not sooner, their time frame within which they can act takes themselves off the hook is very short. And so I think we get into some of the Universal Postal Union stuff here. Some pretty good stuff here. So here we go. So the postal power. So the U.P.U, Universal Postal Union, in Bern, Switzerland, is an extremely significant organization in today's world. It is formulated by treaty. No nation can be recognized as a nation without being in an international admiralty in order to have a forum common to all nations for engaging in commerce. So that's what the whole UCC does. It's uniform in and of itself, meaning that every country operates off the same principles. So that way there cannot be any misunderstandings in commerce. Essentially, that's what it's for. And revolving disputes. So that is why the USA, under the Articles of Confederation, could not be recognized as a country. Every state colony was sovereign with its own common law, which foreclosed other countries from interacting with the USA as a nation in international commerce. Today's international admiralty is the private jurisdiction of the IMF, which, mind you, these are the people that are holding all your bonds too. So, oh man. So anyway, the creditor in the bankruptcy of essentially every government on earth. So the IMF, the creditor, and the bankruptcy of essentially every government on earth. So they're holding the fucking bonds. This means that they're liable to pay for everything. And so your bond should be payable upon demand, because it's payable upon fucking demand. Whoever holds the bond, your birth certificate and things like that, should be payable to the IMF. I would imagine, right? The Bank of International Settlements. They should come the fuck up off that money if you show up with that. I would imagine. Imagine that. So the U.P.U. operates under the authority of treaties with every country in the world. It is, as it were, the overlord or overseer over the common interaction of all countries in international commerce. Every nation has a and so, I mean, the biggest thing that people run into, I think, when they're looking for their remedy is that they don't understand the fundamental nature of basically the fact of the matter being that everything is commercial in nature when it comes to these people. So that's where you're going to find your remedy, is going to be in the commercial system. So that's why the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Code, is such a big deal, because it essentially is what governs all of these people's actions and what they're able to do and not do, right? And so, but that's really where you're going to find your remedy, is going to be in equity, since they're all commercial. So and also has a reciprocal banking and commercial relationships whereby are under the U.P.U. The U.P.U. is the #1 military. International Admiralty is also military contract mover on the planet. And so, I mean, everything is contract essentially. And, you know, I mean, all these militaries are private. You know, they're all private militaries too at that. So you should know that. You should know that. I think, you know, one of the main motivating factors for them probably not letting anybody come fucking eat your whole country alive is the fact that they fucking live there too. But if it wasn't for that, which may even be the case now, they would just shut the whole fucking shit down, because why would they even give a fuck? You know what I mean? But if they didn't live here too, they probably really wouldn't give a fuck what happened to you, to be honest. So for this reason, one should send all important legal and commercial documents through the post office rather than private carriers, which are firewalls. We want direct access to the authority and corresponding availability of remedy and recourse of the U.P.U. For instance, if you post through the U.S. Post Office and the U.S. Postmaster does not provide you with the remedy you request within 21 days, you can take the matter to the U.P.U. Involving the authority of the U.P.U. is automatically invoked by the use of the postage stamps. Utilization of stamps includes putting postage stamps on any documents for clout purposes, not for mailing. So, meaning that you don't put it on the outside, you're putting it on the actual document itself, bringing it under the jurisdiction of the military and the U.P.U., which is a lot easier, you know, which is a lot more fair, I think, if there was such a thing. So we wish to introduce, and I mean, you know, it isn't even fair. You know what it is that it's all contracts, right? And so the people who agree to the contract initially, which you can put yourself under that jurisdiction if you choose to do so as a sovereign being, you can agree to any contracts that you want. So you can put yourself under the U.P.U. if you so decide, right? And so, but this is what you do when you use the stamps. You take that shit out of their hands. It's no longer under their jurisdiction. So, and then it's also bringing the fact of the matter that, you know, you're gonna go find your remedy through equity at that point, right? And so, especially the fact that you now just brought that transaction into literal commerce, where you put something that was actually worth something, $1 stamp is payable to the bearer, right? And these people are acting in a fictional capacity when they're sitting here demanding all this fake ass money from you and shit like that, which doesn't fucking exist. The $1 stamp is actual money, so they're gonna have to put that shit up too to be able to play the game. And they don't have any money because they're bankrupt. You have money because you're a sovereign being. So if you have time, resources, and the luxury of dealing with something well before expiration of a given time frame, you can use the stamps that you consider ideal. So the most preferable stamps are the ones that are both large and contain the most colors. In an emergency situation, or simply if economy is a consideration, any stamp will do. Using a postage stamp and autograph on it makes you the postmaster for that contract, right? So then there's no court that could ever rule over you if you so decided that that was the case and it was final. You're pretty much putting the final judgment on it by putting your stamp and signature on it. It's fucking done. Real simple. You're starting to see how much power you actually have here. So whenever you put a stamp on a document, inscribe your full name over the stamp at an angle. The color ink you use for this is a function of what color will show up best against the colors in the stamp. And you always want to take color copies, okay? Why the fuck would you sign anything or do anything in color if you're going to take black and white copies? That shit is crazy to me. Don't fucking do that. Take color copies of all the color shit that you deal with. Because why not just do everything in black if it was all, come on, cut it out. So avoid red at all costs. You know, I use red. It doesn't matter, and shit still gets done. But I'm gonna start using purple, like I just said to you. So obviously, if you have a dark multicolored stamp, you do not want to use purple or blue ink, since your autograph on it would not stand out as well. If you use lighter color ink, ideally one would decide the best color for his autograph and then obtain the stamps that best suits one criteria and taste. So basically, they're saying that, you know, be conscious of the color stamp that you use to make sure that your signature stands out on whatever the hell. I go over the paper and over the stamp so you can see it. So although a dollar stamp is best, it is a luxury unless one is well off financially. It's a fucking dollar. Spend it. Otherwise, reserve the use of dollar stamps for crucial instruments such as travel documents. I put a $1 stamp and canceled it on my passport. So the rationale for using 2-cent stamps, and so I used the $1, I already told you. Century, the official page rate for the de jure post office of the United States of America, was fixed at 2 cents for stamp. And I mean, the real reason why the $1 stamp is so fucking powerful is because that's the highest bill that was legally allowed to be fucking printed. Every other bill is a fucking counterfeit. The $1 bill is the highest denomination that the United States of America prints. That shit is what has the value. So when all the currency fucking crashes, the $1 bill is gonna be worth probably $1 million fucking dollars. So for stamps to carry, so stack your ones, literally. So for stamps to carry one's person of any kind of unexpected encounter or emergency use, this denomination might be ideal. Use stamps on important documents such as a check, travel documents, paperwork you put in court, etc. Where to put the stamp and how many stamps to use depends on the document. On foundational documents and checks, for instance, put a stamp on the right-hand corner of the document, both the front and the back. The bottom and the right-hand corner of the face of the check, note, or the bill of exchange signifies the liability. Furthermore, the bottom right-hand corner of the reverse of the document is the final position on the page, so no one can endorse anything using a restricted endorsement or otherwise after that. So you want to have the last word. If you have only one stamp, put it where you are expected to sign an autograph over it crosswise. In the case of a traffic ticket, for instance, put a stamp on the lower right-hand corner where you are supposed to sign an autograph across the stamp at an angle. Autographing a stamp not only establishes you as the postmaster of the contract, but constitutes a cross-claim. Using the stamp process on documents presents your adversaries with a problem because their jurisdiction is subordinate to that of the U.P.U., which you have now invoked yourself the benefit of. The resultant practice of doing this is whenever those who you know what you are doing are the recipients of your documents with autograph stamps, they back off. If they do not, take the matter to the U.S. Postmaster to deal with. If he will not provide you with your remedy, take the matter to the Universal Postal Union for them to clean it up. The countries whose stamps would be most effective to use are China, Japan, and the United States and Great Britain. Utilizing these countries covers both East-West. However, since the U.S. seems to be the point man in implementing the New World Order, one might advisably use U.S. stamps. If you put U.S. stamps on documents you submit into court, put a stamp on the back of each page at the bottom right-hand corner. Do not place any stamps on the front of the paperwork, since doing so alarms the clerk. By placing your autograph stamp on the reverse-hand side of the corner, let's see. On the right-hand side of the corner, you avoid being damaged by one of these trick judges these days. A judge might have your paperwork on his bench, but turned over, so only the back side, which is ordinarily blank on every page, is so then if you ask about your paperwork, you might say something like, yes, I have your paperwork in front of me, but I don't find anything. He can't see anything on the blank side of the page. If you place an autograph stamp on the lower right-hand corner of your you foreclose a judge from engaging in this trick. In addition, when it comes to the court documents, one side is criminal and the other is civil. Using your autograph stamp that you rubber stamp with your seal, your bullet stamp on the back side of your court documents is evidence that you possess the canceled obligation on the civil side. Since there can be no assessment for criminal charges, and you show that you are the holder of the civil assessment, there is no way out for the court. Also, in any court document you put in, handwrite your EIN, social security number without dashes, in gold on the top right-hand corner of every page with the autograph stamped on the back-hand side. Use of a notary combined with the postage stamp and sometimes embassy stamps gives you a priority mechanism. Everything is commerce and all commerce is contract. The master of the contract is the post office, and the U.P.U. is the supreme overlord of the commerce, banking, and postal systems of the world. Use these stamps in this manner to get attention of those in the system who you provide your paperwork. It makes you the master of that post office. Use of the stamp is especially important when dealing with the major players such as FBI, CIA, Secret Service, Treasury, etc. They understand the significance of what you are doing. Many times they hand documents back to someone who is using this approach and say, "Have a good day, sir." They don't want any untoward repercussions coming back on them, and they don't. The thing is that they operate how they do, acting like they're fucking invincible because nobody knows this shit. But you do now. You do now. So if anyone asks you why you are doing what you were doing, suggest that they consult it for real. And this is what I do too. So yeah, you always gotta tell them just run it by their legal team, because everybody wants to act like they know what the fuck they're talking about. Just don't even argue with these people. Just tell them to hand it to their fucking legal department. You're not gonna sit here and explain this shit to them. If they, first of all, if they have to ask you what the fuck that is, you really think that you have enough time in a day to sit there and fucking explain this shit to somebody like that? No. There's something to give it to their legal department. So it is not your job to explain the law, nor to explain such things as your exemption or set off account. The system hangs us by our own words. We have to give them the evidence, information, contacts, and legal determinations they require to convict us. The wise words of Calvin Coolidge, when asked why he spoke so little, he replied, "I have never been hurt by anything I didn't say." And so, I mean, that's gonna be a fact. So, you know, words do work magic, and they can get you in a bind fast. So the bottom line is that whenever you need to sign any legal commercial document, put a stamp, even a 1-cent stamp, over where you sign, and sign at any angle across it. Let the recipient deal with the significance and consequences of your actions. If you are in a court case or at any stage of a proceeding, such as an indictment, summons, complaint, or any other hostile encounter with the system, immediately do the following. Make a color copy of whatever document you receive. Scan them in color into your computer. Number 2, scan the original of the first page of every document with the ARFV stamp. Put a postage stamp in the signature space and autograph across it at an angle with your full name using your purple or blue ink, handwritten with upper and lower case with your gold ink bullet stamp seal on the upper left-hand portion of the postage stamp. Make a color copy of the stamped autograph pages or scan into your computer. Put a stamp on the lower right-hand side of the back of every page and bullet stamp and autograph it. 4, have a notary send every document back to the sender with a notarial certificate of service, with or without accompanying supportive affidavit by you. If you have an affidavit, put an autograph stamp on the upper right-hand corner of the first page and the lower right-hand corner of the back of every page. This is you basically taking the jurisdiction away from them, giving it to yourself, and then placing yourself under the protection of the U.P.U. treaty, the Universal Postal Union treaty. That's what that's doing. So people who have engaged in this process report that when any knowledgeable judge, attorney, or official sees this, matters change dramatically. And I'm going to tell you why that probably happens is because a lot of the people that know this shit are the secret society people and you know, the people that you call fucking elites and all that. And they're in that position because they know this technologies like this. And that's what I'll call it, a fucking technology. Because they know this. And they keep it for just them and their corny ass little groups. You know what I mean? So, but you can do this shit too. And they're going to assume that you're one of them, I would imagine. And even if they don't assume that, I mean, they know what the repercussions of them acting like they know what the fuck. Or acting like they can do whatever they want after they get noticed with this. You know, is knowably moving in fraud. Knowingly committing a felony. And so, I mean, that's just to put it lightly. So all of these personages know what this mail fraud is. Since autographing the stamps makes you the postmaster of the contract, anyone who interferes with tampering with the mail and engaging is mail fraud. So that means if you go there to cancel, which I actually dealt with this recently, so I canceled a $1 stamp that I had on one of my parcels that I was going to be sending out at the post office, and this dude's trying to tell me that he can't take it because it's a canceled stamp. And so I'm like, yeah, you can. I'm like, I can absolutely cancel that because I did. First of all, because I did, so I know that I can. And I'm like, so if you're gonna tell me that you can't take this, And mind you, I ended up just buying another stamp and putting it on to get the fucking thing out. But I'm like, why don't you go ask your boss? So he goes and asks the postmaster. The postmaster comes back and tells him that I can't do that. Really, bro? And so this is a postmaster, and he should know this shit. You know what I'm saying? But they fucking don't. And that's what I'm saying. So this is who you're gonna be dealing with. So just know that you can always take it over their head because a lot of these people do not know what their fucking job is, but that's by design, purposely, so that way, you know, the people that are over them that are pulling all the snake shit can do it without them realizing it. You know, you keep everybody ignorant, and they'll never be able to know what the fuck your plan really is. So, anyway, since autographing the stamps makes you the postmaster of the contract, anyone who interferes with it is tampering with the mail, engaging in mail fraud. So you can then subpoena the postmaster, either the post office from which the letter was mailed, or the U.S. Postmaster General, or both, and have them explain what the rules are under deposition or testimony on the witness stand in open court. In addition, most of the time when you get the official communication, it has a red meter postage mark on the envelope rather than a canceled stamp. This is an act of mail fraud. And that's an act of mail fraud because a stamp has to be payable to the bearer, or else the fucking postage has never even been paid. So they're over here putting these fucking red stamps on the thing, which is not money. It's not money, and it's not worth anything. You can't cash that in. You know what I'm saying? But you can cash the stamp in. So if the envelope has a red meter postage mark on it, they are the ones who have engaged in mail fraud because there is no canceled stamp. It is the canceled stamp that has the power, and an uncanceled stamp has nothing. A red meter postage mark is an uncanceled stamp. If it is not canceled, it is not paid. One researcher has scanned everything into his computer and has more red meter postage marks that he can shake a stick at. Officials sending things out by canceled stamp is a rarity, perhaps at most 2%. 2%. So with the red meter postage, you can trace each communication back to the post office from which it was sent. So you can get the postmaster for that post office, as well as the postmaster general for the U.S. to investigate the mail fraud involved. It is reasonable to conclude that canceling a stamp both registers the matter and forms a contract between the party that canceled the stamp and the U.P.U. So using a stamp for postage without canceling is prima facie evidence that the postmaster of the local post office is committing mail fraud by taking a customer's money and not providing the paid-for service. So they're taking your money and they're putting a fake stamp on everything that you mail, okay? So, and providing you with the power of a canceled stamp. So what they're doing is doing that. That's not allowing the package to end up in the jurisdiction of the Universal Postal Union because the stamp has not been paid, and they're doing that on purpose to commit fraud and be able to do what the fuck that they want with whatever happens with that mail, right? So as required under the provision of the U.P.U, when you place an autographed stamp on a document, you place the document and that contract underlying it under international law and treaty, with which the courts have no jurisdiction to deal with. So the system cannot deal with the real you, the living principle, as evidenced and witnessed by Girat, nor can officials, attorneys, judges, etc. go against the U.P.U, international law, and treaty. In addition, they have no authority or jurisdiction to impair a contract between you as the living principle and the U.P.U, overseer of all the world commerce. You canceled the stamp by sealing it and autographing across it. You did so in the capacity of being a living principle as acknowledged by your seal and the Girat on your documents. If you are in a court case, bring in your red metered envelopes in court and request the judge to direct the prosecutor to explain the red meter postage stamp. Then watch their jaws drop. Doing this is especially potent if you have also asked the prosecutor to provide his bar number, since most attorneys in court, especially in the U.S., are not qualified. An attorney in federal court had better have a 6-digit bar card, or he committed a felony just by walking in and giving his name. Lastly, if you are charged with mail fraud, subpoena the prosecutors to bring in the evidence of which the mail fraud is being alleged, as well as the originals of all envelopes used for mailing any item connected with the case. I do this shit too whenever I get something from the IRS. Even though we work together, I always charge them for the $300 fee for private use, and it says it right on the envelope. So they're dealing with a private individual as a public corporation. That's a $300 fee every time they send you something. So when the mail fraud involved was committed by the postmaster of the post office in which the envelope was stamped. So, you know, these are how you get your remedy, is by knowing what all your options are, because they're not going to tell you what all your options are, but I will. So it is a game of chess. Stop playing checkers with these clowns. That's what I got for you for now. Until we meet again.